First of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met. And that's what we intend to do. So that leverage remains, that leverage is ongoing, and we expect that it's going to lead to results here. We're hopeful that it does, positive results for the people of Venezuela, but ultimately, most importantly for us, in the national interest of the United States. We will no longer have, hopefully, as we move forward here, we'll set the conditions so that we no longer have in our hemisphere a Venezuela that's the crossroads for many of our adversaries around the world, including Iran and Hezbollah, is no longer sending us drug gangs, is no longer sending us drug boats, is no longer a narco-trafficking paradise for all those drugs coming out of Colombia to go in through the Caribbean and towards the United States. And obviously, we want a better future for the people of Venezuela. We want them to have an oil industry where the wealth goes to the people, not to a handful of corrupt individuals and stolen by, pirates all over the world. That's what we're working towards, and we intend to use the leverage we have to help achieve that.
Let me ask the question again. What is the legal authority for the United States to be running Venezuela?
Well, I explained to you what our goals are and how we're going to use the leverage to make it happen. As far as what our legal authority is on the quarantine, I'm very simple. We have court orders. These are sanctioned boats, and we get orders from courts to go after and seize these sanctions. So I don't know, is a court not a legal authority?
So is the United States running Venezuela right now?
Well, I've explained once again, I'll do it one more time. What we are running is the direction that this is going to move moving forward. And that is, we have leverage. This leverage we are using and we intend to use. We started using already. You can see where they are running out of storage capacity. In a few weeks, they're going to have to start pumping oil unless they make changes. And that leverage that we have with the armada of boats that are currently positioned allow us to seize any sanctioned boats coming into or out of Venezuela, loaded with oil or on its way in to pick up oil, and we can pick and choose which ones we go after. We have court orders for each one. That will continue to be in place.
This wasn't just another Sunday morning interview. This was a total high-stakes showdown on national TV. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stepping right into the lion's den to face off against an establishment media that's been desperate to see him fail. The topic? Only the biggest move we've seen in decades. America finally stepping up with a decisive hand to bring some actual order back to the Western Hemisphere. Let's look at what really went down on January 3rd, 2026. This was the moment the world shifted. U.S. forces didn't just move in. They pulled off a precision law enforcement hit in Venezuela that finally yanked Nicolas Maduro out of power. This wasn't some snap decision or a random impulse. It was the breaking point after years of total rot and corruption that turned what used to be a wealthy, thriving nation into a home base for our worst enemies. For way too long, the people running things in D.C. let themselves get played, while narco-gangs and thugs from Iran and Hezbollah set up shop just miles from our own front door. But the Trump administration just sent a message that couldn't be any louder. The days of America being a doormat are over. This whole operation was about taking out the threats that were a direct danger to your family and making sure the people behind these massive crimes finally have to answer for them in a real court of law. The handoff is happening right now, and it's being run with a focus on legal integrity and finally giving the power back to the people who've been under that boot for decades. Not even 24 hours after the boots hit the ground, Marco Rubio sat down across from George Stephanopoulos. What we saw was a total masterclass in how you handle a media that's actively rooting against you. Stephanopoulos wasn't even pretending to be a journalist. He was acting like a political hack, trying over and over to spin this mission as some kind of illegal power grab. He kept whining about legal authority while completely ignoring the mountain of evidence showing how that regime was poisoning the world. But Rubio didn't flinch. He spoke like a man who knows he has the receipts. He walked through exactly how we're using court-ordered seizures and strategic oil blockades to starve out what's left of the old guard. While George tried to paint a picture of total chaos, Rubio showed us a plan for a smooth, controlled handoff. He absolutely tore apart that fake news framing by keeping the focus right where it belongs, on the legal process. He made it clear that the U.S. is just paving the way for the rule of law to return, not running a country like some old school occupation. It was a massive reality check for an establishment that's dying to see American strength fail. Here is the heart of the play. We're hitting them where it actually hurts, their wallets. By putting a total lockdown on Venezuelan oil exports, the U.S. has basically cut the throat of the criminal gangs still hiding out in Caracas. Rubio made it very clear that these assets aren't being stolen. They're being held in a trust for a real future government that actually represents the people. We're making sure the nation's wealth doesn't get looted while we're cleaning house. This is the kind of smart, heavy-duty American leverage we haven't seen in years. It's about way more than just swapping out a leader. It's about completely gutting the entire system that let international crime syndicates get rich. The secretary was blunt. We're using every single tool we've got to make sure this transition stays on track. That includes teaming up with our neighbors in the region who have been feeling the fallout of that regime's mess for way too long. The goal? A Western Hemisphere that is free, safe, and doesn't answer to hostile powers from across the ocean. The American people want results, and Rubio is handing over the MAC for a total win. As the smoke starts to clear, you can finally see the big picture. The talking heads in the media and the career politicians in the halls of Congress can cry all they want about norms, but look at what's actually happening on the ground. We're already seeing reports of people dancing in the streets of Caracas because they realize the fear and the brainwashing of the old regime are finally dead. The Trump administration is proving that being strong is the only way to deal with the monsters of the modern world. We aren't just watching history happen anymore. We're the ones writing it. By ripping out the main source of the rot in our own neighborhood, we're making your home in the United States a lot safer. This is about keeping our borders safe from the fallout of broken states, the drugs, the gangs, and the human misery. Rubio's stand on ABC was a signal to the entire world. America is done being a passive observer. We're leading again. We're going to back the people who want freedom and shut down anyone who wants to do us harm. The road ahead is going to be a grind. But for the first time in an entire generation, the path is actually clear.